We are good to go now. Firstly, everyone on this call, you are welcome, and we appreciate you taking out time from your busy schedules and agreeing to be part of this webinar organized by Crawl Edutech. We have around 38 participants, and most of you, your systems are muted and you cannot come on live, but in case you have any query, please feel free to respond in the chat window to which you have access to. All your queries we will try to address at the end of this webinar. The idea of this webinar is to put a structure to the thought process of the CFA Level 1 aspirants at this stage. While it's a decision that most of you would have taken, or you are in the process of taking or pursuing the CFA Level 1. We will put a structure to your thought process as part of this webinar. We'd like to address concerns, and structurally we want to give you the reasons for why CFA, how CFA, and when CFA. We're going to compare it with most of other programs. But before we go ahead, we'd like to introduce ourselves. At CFA Crawl Edutech, the CFA MasterTrack program of Crawl Edutech is a program is structured for aspiring students at CFA Level 1. And as part of this webinar, all of the participants, we want to explain you about the program that we have, and we want to give you an understanding of the syllabus which is prescribed by the CFA Institute, the kind of exam format that they have, what are the key study areas, and also we want to give you an understanding of how you should balance your existing work, study, and the kind of revisions that you would need to undertake. Now this webinar, when we are undertaking this, we are structuring and positioning this webinar for aspiring students who are intending to take the exams in the month of December 2025. We intend to launch the program in the month of June, and the batches in June these are all going to be global batches. They are all going to position for the December exams, and that's the kind of study blueprint that we have. Now, the reason we are bringing this webinar and we are doing this extensively is because most of the students, when they are taking CFA, it's a huge digression from the structure that they are used to previously. In your previous curriculums that you would have taken till date, you had a structure where you go to a confined place where you are put together with a group of students. But CFA is not like that, and it also, there is an important differentiation when it comes to the previous programs that you would have undertaken. This is a professional program, and the end use of it is quite clear. You're going to use the skills that you learn as part of CFA program at your workplace. So this creates a kind of analytical bent in your mind which you are able to position in an ever-changing world and use this skill as day in, day out. Now this webinar is structured in a way that we are going to discuss the CFA Level 1 exam structure. We will be discussing how to structure a winning CFA study plan. We will introduce the CFA MasterTrack Level 1 program for aspiring CFA Level 1 students, the resources which we want to introduce you to from CFA Crawl Edutech, and then we will take up the questions towards the end. Now, for most of you at this stage, it's very important to understand that when it comes to CFA, CFA is the gold standard in the investment and finance industry. There is only one thing that the CFA Institute does as a body which is actually structured to give you a syllabus and to administer an exam and evaluate your ability to learn those skills. That's the only thing that the Institute does. But it's very important to understand that the syllabus is prescribed in such a way that the skills are very industry relevant. So when it comes to that, as an institution, it's fantastic. They have been able to give and keep on improving, improvising, and ensuring that the syllabus remains industry relevant. So in that sense, the institute is quite agile. So when you undergo this program over the next 2 to 3 years, you will realize that the institute is constantly engaging with the industry body, the developments in the industry. It's keeping an eye on what are the things happening around and how to improve and modify the syllabus so that pursuing students, they are always relevant for the marketplace, which is the industry where you would be engaged. Now, most of the programs, whether you talk about investment analysis, portfolio management, risk assessment, these are the kind of areas where most of you who, after you come out of this program, you will be able to work. The kind of presence that the CFA Institute has, the acceptability that this institute has is very diverse. Almost 170 countries they acknowledge, and you are employable all across the world once you have undertaken this program and you're through with it. The kind of industries which you could look forward to work would be investment banking, private equity, you talk about asset portfolio management, equity research, or largely most of the corporate finance roles that we speak about. Now, I also want to harp on risk and compliance roles, because increasingly globally, as we become more and more globalized, there is a very comprehensive bouquet of risk areas which are coming up, and this kind of syllabus that the CFA has, the charter holders in the previous several decades, they have been able to prove their mettle in ensuring that they are capable of handling the risk and compliance roles as well. So that is one area which again you can look at. So it's quite comprehensive when you're looking at the financial services industry to work on. Next, we are going to compare, because a lot of you will have questions in your mind right now as to whether we should do CFA versus MBA or CFA versus FRM, CFA versus CPA. When we speak about MBA, MBA is a conventional program. It's quite structured. It's a program where you really are on the campus and you're part of a program which might run from all the way from 12 months to 18 months to 24 months, and you get a very broad business education. So when you compare it with CFA, CFA is very exhaustive, but at the same time it's very precise and it's very analytical heavy. But when you talk about MBA, it's a very broad business education, and if the real differentiation would be the kind of depth that the CFA education has is a lot more when it comes to finance when you compare it with MBA. But the opportunity for MBA programs, students undertaking MBA programs, is really the kind of networking opportunities that you have. But over the years, CFA also, and as you move ahead, you realize the CFA program also has opportunities to forge networking at your workplace or within the industry, and those kind of structures are being put in place. Next, we compare CFA versus FRM, and it's quite apparent. FRM focuses a lot more on risk management, which is a lot more relevant in the coming years, but it has a niche, whereas CFA is more holistic, investment and financial analysis perspective. But CFA also has a very wide realm of risk assessment, and that is part of your syllabus. Most of the students who pursue CFA subsequently, they also tend to take up FRM, but that's not really a trend, but a lot of students do it. Actual difference would just be the niche. So if you are kind of deliberating between CFA and FRM at your stage, since you have not pursued CFA, it would be prudent to pursue CFA instead of FRM at this stage. And finally, CFA versus CPA. CPA is more accounting focused, where CFA is more investment focused. So when it comes to a role, CFA is quite dynamic, and CPA is more compliance, and it's more backward looking. The ability to make decision except in the roles of maybe taxation, where again it's a compliance role, would be a lot more in CPA. But CFA, it's a more dynamic, and there's a lot of challenges which CFA program holders, they tend to address. They're what a traditional CPA candidate would do. Next, we are going to talk about the exam structure, and a lot has been spoken about, and the kind of syllabus that just the CFA Level 1 has is quite elaborate. It's very exhaustive, and this is something which tend to become a little overwhelming at sometimes. We're talking about 10 topics. We speak about ethical and professional standards, and let me highlight this. When we speak of ethical and professional standards, this is one area which is there irrespective of what you talk about. But ethical and professional standards, the institute is very keen about ensuring that the students pursuing their program, they are able to forge into themselves the ethical part of the entire program, and they are able to carry it to the workplace. Next, we speak about quantitative methods, economics, financial reporting, FRA, corporate finance, equity investments, fixed income, derivatives, alternative investments, and portfolio management. Now, when you look at these 10 topics over the next 3 programs, 3 levels that you have, level 1 to level 3, most of these topics are going to overlap, but the depth and in terms of understanding and application and your ability and the extent to which you will be tested is going to differ. Like, for instance, you're talking about ethical and professional standards, talking about derivatives, portfolio management, corporate finance, FRA. The depth and the intensity of these segments as a syllabus, part of the syllabus, is going to change across the 3 levels. The modalities in which you are going to be tested is again going to change. You might be tested for your understanding of the concept at one level. You might be tested for your ability to apply at another level, and you might be tested at a mix of application and conceptual understanding and application, analyzing the cost benefit and other factors at another level of this curriculum. And but if you look into all of these, you're typically talking about, even if you take 300 to 400 pages of condensed study material at each of this level, you're talking about roughly 3,000 to 4,000 pages of concepts. And it could become quite overwhelming for most of the students, and that is where the CFA MasterTrack program comes in. The challenges that the students face is, of course, the vast syllabus and how to manage the time, because a lot of you students would also be pursuing, you might be working as your existing role somewhere, and that is where the challenge comes in terms of taking out time and trying to pursue this program. The next is memorization versus application. Please understand, the institute is not looking for you whether you know the topics or can you memorize it. They are trying to test the application part of the whole thing. Then comes the financial reporting and ethics. Now, financial reporting and ethics, these are 2 segments which can be overwhelming at times, especially because financial reporting is something which is compliance oriented, and you have to extract the application part of it and the analytics part of it, and ethics is something which the student harps a lot, which the institute harps a lot upon. So it becomes quite interesting for somebody to pursue, because these 2 are very dynamic areas. Next is exam stamina and stress. You have 3 levels here, and the structure of the exam is different at all the 3 levels. Next, mock exam and performance gap. Irrespective of how many number of mock exams that you have taken and the performance in those mock exams, the pressure that you have in the actual exam is different. Therefore, there will always be some level of performance gap, and there has to be some mechanism to overcome this. Next, we all are aware that the CFA Level 1 pass rate is always on the lower side. And there are reasons why it is, and we will take it up as part of this discussion today. And you will come across various forums that the ethics, FRA, and portfolio management, these 3 segments continue to be daunting. It's very challenging to score in these 3 areas. And we need to have a good plan as to how we address these 3 areas and overcome them. So how to build a winning CFA study plan? Specifically, as I mentioned in the beginning, we're talking about addressing the December 2025 CFA Level 1 exam, which happens towards the end of November. This year is going to happen in the month of November 12 to November 18. Now, you have to figure out the kind of resources that is at your disposal in terms of the quantum of study hours that you can plan. Now, you have to prioritize the high weight topics. So let us understand the kind of topics which are there, which topics will have high, because those topics have a lot more concepts. So the weightage for those topics tend to be higher. And then you need to figure out an active learning techniques where your revision in terms of understanding the concepts and revising those concepts so that it becomes part of your muscle memory is very important. And if any one of you tend to be working, you have to leverage the dead time, because there will be pockets of time throughout the day as part of your workplace where you might be able to take out some time. And those are the pockets which again you will have to commit to your study hours. So if now when you're sitting in the month of April and the ideal time to start your preparation for the November 2025 exam should be in the month of June. So June to August, the conceptual learning and topic-wise practice, that is something which has to be concluded. In the month of September to October, you need to have a revision, the formulas, and you should start solving full-length mocks. November 1st to 10th is where you should be finishing any kind of revision and take the final mock tests and just be ready for the exams when they are scheduled between November 12th and 18th. Now, our MasterTrack, CFA MasterTrack program that we talk about, this is a structured 150-hour program. And the reason we structured it in this manner is purely because we wanted to give you a classroom kind of environment, because I felt as part of the workplace at our own investment bank that most of the students who come and pursue this, they actually take time in clearing these exams purely because they are used to studying in a classroom environment. And when you are given a situation where you have to pace your own learning, it becomes very difficult because continuous guidance is absent. And that is why we wanted to have an interactive session which is programmed to cover exhaustively the entire concept and give you a real classroom kind of learning environment. We also want to prepare you with mock exams and doubt clearing sessions, because when you learn the concepts as part of the course, so it's structured in 3 divisions, you take the classroom sessions, you learn the concepts, you go back and do the revisions, you come back with your doubt sessions, you clear your doubt sessions, and then you take the mock exams. And that is what prepares you for the actual. Now, beyond this, there could be situations where you have, again, you want to have a revision as part of a focused study program. The CFA MasterTrack program factors for that as well. Now, the next step that we would suggest you to undertake is you got to download the planner from the website, which is crawl.org. You need to figure out joining the CFA MasterTrack level, which is going to start in the month of June, and try and keep pursuing and following multiple sources so that you remain updated. The syllabus might undergo some kind of change. These structural changes are there. The examination pattern is always industry relevant, so you need to be watchful of this. Now, we'll take up any Q&A that you have at this stage. Yes. Okay, so we have someone asking, why is the pass rate very low for the exam? See, the pass rate, if you see across level 1, 2, 3, it's more or less the median ranges between 30 to 45%. And the reason even at CFA level 1, the pass percentage is around 40%. The reason is not that these students are eliminated as part of the structure. Recently in the month of February, they have kind of met their the institute has decided to make the entire scoring process quite transparent for the students. But importantly, you need to understand that the institute's evaluation process is not an elimination process. They have this process wherein they actually want to pursue a structure where you should know the concept both in terms of its understanding and its application. If you are good at that, there is no reason why this institute is going to fail you. So please understand, the good part of it is the entire evaluation process is structured in such a way that you will be clearing the exams if you know the answers well. So the idea is you should know the answers properly, you should know the concepts, you should know the application. If you know both of it, just memorizing the concept is not going to help you. Application is what the institute is looking at. If you're good at it, irrespective, you're going to clear the exams. And this is one reason. The second reason is because the students at CFA Level 1, they have not been used to a self-paced study plan. So they fail to create a structure where they pursue most of their concepts sequentially much ahead of the exams, and then they kind of do revisions and then they undertake mock tests. Most of the students, they believe that, and a part of this group, they might also be working at some place. They believe they'll be able to finish the concepts, and this process kind of lingers on, and they are able to brush up and rush through the concepts towards very close to when the exam is. So you need a very structured mindset to kind of address the challenges which the evaluation program of the institute actually hinges on. If you're able to understand this and have a game plan to address it, there is no reason why you should not be able to clear the exam. Now we are just about in time of closing this webinar. In case any one of you, we have few other queries to whom we'll be responding over the email. But if any one of you, I'm going to give you the email here again. Please send us your queries and we'll be very happy to come back to you. So thank you everyone for taking out time. We are ending this webinar here, and we look forward to working together and welcoming you as part of Crawl EduTech in other programs. Thank you and all the best.